UPTOBER. It's about to get a massive boost. While the US has been busy injecting liquidity and driving up risk asset prices, something has been brewing on the other side of the world. China, the world's second largest economy, is getting ready to step in a big way. In this video, we're going to break down what is China up to and what impact will it have on financial markets. You don't want to miss this one. Like and subscribe down below, and let's find out just what's going on the other side. So guys, as we know, liquidity is one of the main drivers of asset prices. As central banks print money injected into the financial system, risk assets rise as a result. Here on your screen, you can see that correlation. Bitcoin and global liquidity in orange. As global liquidity rises, Bitcoin also rises. And this liquidity happens in a cycle. You can see this global liquidity cycle. We are coming up. I believe we still have a ways to go in this cycle, and we'll get into why later in this video. But I believe we are coming up towards the top of this projection here. This is the ebb and flow of markets. This is what drives markets. As central banks inject money in and then pull money out of financial systems, they create a cycle of asset prices. This is that cycle. You're seeing this right here. And so what we've covered in this video, and we'll cover more videos on this, is that the U.S. is doing a sort of money printing right now through the Treasury. Have a look at some of our past videos that we've covered on this. We'll do more in the future. But what we're going to talk about today is how is China contributing to this global cycle right here. And what's important for you guys to understand first is the impact that this can have on crypto. In 2017, we had a raging bull market, but the U.S. wasn't really printing any money. So where was the liquidity coming from? It was coming from China. I want you to have a look at this chart right here. Have a look on your screen. This is showing the buyers and sellers of U.S. bonds. Quantitative easing. Money printer go burr. This is when the Federal Reserve creates money, prints money, and uses it to buy bonds. If we look at the 2016 to 2018 time horizon, it's just not there. This gray part right here, this is U.S. Treasuries held by Fed SOMA. Essentially, how much money printing is going on at the Fed. Non-existent. In fact, they were selling. It just wasn't here. You can see previous cycles, the 2009 cycle, the 2013, 2014 cycle. You can skip ahead to the 2021, 2022 cycle. We covered in a past video, the Fed is actually selling bonds right now. So that's why we're kind of have a muted cycle right now. 2017, they were not printing money. This is showing you the Fed right now. There's no gray. This is the gray. It's just not there. But if you look here and have a look at the China central bank liquidity, what's going on in 2017? Straight up. China money printing going straight up. And you can see in this chart here as well, the Fed right here in red, really nowhere to be seen. A lot of what we're seeing is from the Bank of Japan. And so what I'm trying to illustrate here is that China printing money, China turning on the money printers can have massive implications. They basically fueled an entire bull market. It was basically led by the East. There's two pillars of global liquidity. There's the West, and then there's the East. In the West, it's led by the U.S. In the East, it's led by China. And in 2017, the bull market was fueled by China and Japan, largely, as we can see. And so now that we know the impact that China can have on a crypto bull market when they start printing money, let's dive in and see what they're doing this time around. I think you're going to like it. I've got a video here from Mike Howell. And just a quick shout out to Mike Howell and his company Cross Border Capital. We're using a lot of their charts today. So I'm going to link his Substack down below. If you want to keep up with liquidity, really there's no one better in the game than Mike. So a Substack down below, if you want to subscribe to that and stay up to date with the world of liquidity, you'd become a better investor for doing so. Anyways, here I've got this clip from Mike Howell. He's going to break down what China's doing and what that means for us. Have a listen.
And that's important because as background, what the Chinese are doing is that adding liquidity into their systems. And I think that's a critical thing to understand. And that liquidity is forcing investors out of safe assets, government bonds, into riskier assets like equities.
And so what Mike is explaining here is the People's Bank of China, China's central bank, injecting massive amounts of money and forcing investors to go risk on. That's what happens when central banks inject tons of money. It makes investors go risk on because they know risk assets are about to rise as a result. And so right now, a lot of the focus has been on the U.S., the Fed. What are we doing over here? What is Trump doing? What is Powell doing? And if you have a look on your screen, they're not doing a whole lot. Liquidity falling. You can see it right here. You can see right here the liquidity is falling. This is the TGA rebuild, essentially a liquidity drain. They're pulling money out of the system, putting it into their checking account, essentially. And they're forecasted to do, a whole lot more nothing. you know, a little surge, a break, a little surge. Keep in mind, this is just a projection, but, you know, Mike and Cross-Border Cap, these guys are usually pretty on top of it. So really, we're not seeing a whole lot from the Fed. And I've gone over this. I've gone over it that Powell has told us that they're not going to be doing quantitative easing. I've explained that the Treasury is actually the one injecting liquidity and not the Federal Reserve. We'll do another video on that sometime in a couple weeks. We'll do an update there. But right now, what's important for you to take away is that the U.S. isn't doing a whole lot in terms of liquidity injection. But that's okay, because you know who is? China. Take a look at this. Annual change in People's Bank of China liquidity, that's their central bank, up and to the right. And when have we seen this before? We saw this in 2017, and a raging bull market ensued. Now, what's even more important to understand is that eventually the U.S. is going to turn the money printers on. And I believe that's exactly what's going to happen this time around. And have a look right here. We got Chinese liquidity and world commodity prices. We have liquidity in orange. We have commodity prices in black. When Chinese liquidity goes higher, and this dotted line is the projected to go higher, we have commodity prices in black also going higher. Because as China injects liquidity, asset prices also rise. This is pretty straightforward stuff, guys. And really, this video is more of an update to let you guys know just what is coming. It's not a terribly complicated topic today, but this is just a conviction booster to let you know that there is money coming into the system. There are things that we should be excited about. And this is what global investors are keeping an eye on. They're keeping an eye on China and the PBOC operations. They're keeping an eye on the money printing that China has to do, the insane amount of debt that China has to monetize. And to monetize debt, you have to print money. So I got one more chart I want to show you guys. We've got world economic momentum and PBOC liquidity injections. We've got liquidity injections here in black. We've got world economic momentum here in orange. Never mind that this is falling off a cliff. This is a little bit of an outdated chart. But I just want to show you the connection here. This is actually responsible for the massive dip that we saw at the beginning of the year. As Chinese liquidity went down, we saw risk assets fall as a result. And if anything, that should highlight the serious connection that is here between Chinese liquidity and asset prices. The massive dip that we saw in the beginning of 2025, it's so over, the bull market's done, the bear market is here. A lot of that was caused by China pulling money out of the system. And what's happening now is China is sending it, absolutely sending it up and to the right, printing massive amounts of cash. Why? Because they have to. The same way earlier in the year they needed to pull money out of the system, now they need to put money back into the system. It's pretty simple, guys, when you think about it. As are most of the updates with macro. It's really just a matter of understanding the data and making the connection. And most of the time, it's a pretty straightforward connection. And if you find those connections difficult to make, or you just don't have the time, never fear. We're here to do it for you. Like and subscribe down below. We're going to give you consistent updates on the macro and everything you need to know to stay informed and confident and convicted in this crypto bull market. Leave us a comment. Let me know if you've learned anything. As always, thank you for being here, and we will see you in the next video.